good morning to you and welcome to this edition of the program, Good Morning, Anambra. I'm Iberi Ugonna. I'm not alone in the house this morning. I have with me a surprise package, in fact.
My name is Priska Wanko. Good morning, dear Anambra.
Priska, how are you doing?
Well, you can see I'm doing great.
It's been a while, though.
Yes, and I think, should I say?
You're ready for this, right?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right, let's do this. It's ironical for Nigeria that boasts of agriculture being an important part of the economy, yet the subject does not exist in some primary school curriculum or even secondary school curriculum. Well, that brings us to the topic when we're talking about reintroduction of Agric farms in school. And this morning we have a guest in the house who we're going to be discussing this issue with this morning. Talking about Professor Lucy Umuba, former Dean Faculty of Agriculture, Agric University. Good to have you on the program.
Good morning, Ugonna.
And
Welcome, Anambra.
All right, thank you. And of course, we have Mr. Emmanuel Ifesinachi, the president of NUJ, right? And the public affairs analyst. The chairman, rather, of NUJ and the public analyst. Good to have you on the program.
Thank you, Ugonna. Welcome, Anambra.
Yes, let's begin. Reintroduction of Agric farms in the university. Let me begin with you, Prof. You are a professor in the Faculty of Agriculture. How has it been in UNIZIC in terms of agriculture and student participation in agriculture?
Thank you very much. Anambra University, I started Faculty of Agric 2011.
Okay.
When we came from Asotec, we wanted very much to have Faculty of Agric, but it requires some funding, and therefore it was impossible until Professor Boka became the VC. And he went out of his way to have it established. And today, the faculty is supposed to be an Ifitogwa. And we are supposed to come up to the fourth year before we can move to Ifitogwa for practical year. And then fifth year for finishing. As it is in Anambra University today, that faculty is still suffering funding. But we have whatever it can take to go to any level in terms of manpower, in terms of professors, readers, senior lecturers, everything. All the level and the mix is wonderful, from professor to even graduate assistant. We have them, but the problem there is this funding.
Funding. Interesting. Comrade Ima Ifesinachi, when Ugonna started, he said something. He said it was ironical that we are pushing and projecting agriculture, pushing that people should get involved in agriculture to sustain the economy. And yet, you find out that in different primary schools, it's not even part of their school curriculum. And in secondary school, like my own secondary school, when I went to secondary school, it was an optional course. It's either you do Agric or home management or food and nutrition. Now, how can we be pushing for reintroduction of agri farms in schools when we are not even doing the subjects agriculture?
I think I would say that, reintroduction of agri farms in school is a decision in the right direction. Because in any economy, you can't have food security without sufficient and quality attention to agriculture. Even in advanced countries, be it America, be it Britain, in spite of what they have attained and, in science, technology, attention is still paid to agriculture because that is what gives any economic stability. For government to think back and He started an idea on, reintroduction of agriculture into schools. It's in the right direction. I sanctioned it.
All right, let me come to you, Professor. Now it's a thought, reintroduction of agric farms in school. I know in developed countries like the UK, the US, kids visit the local farms and they learn and appreciate where their food comes from. But it doesn't seem like it's the case in Nigeria here. Where do we go from here?
In the sense that the farmer and the village, even the big farmers, no matter what, they do not properly collaborate with the research institutions like universities, which is very commonly done overseas. It is when they have problems in the farm that they bring it to the research institutes. They have them, so they collaborate. If they have any doubts in the farm, they bring it as a research topic. Students are meant to really take up on such, and then there is improvement. And in our own case here, in spite of what I said, that funding is the problem, we still get our students to do what they can. And if you go to that Faculty of Agric now in university, they are busy doing their own, they have their small portions of land. Can you remind me of your question, please? You asked a question. Can you remind me of your question?
Yes, my question is Nigeria, for instance, now, when you look at what's happening in UK, US, you find out that their kids, for the primary and secondary, they go to the farm to see how things are being done. They appreciate, and and it helps them in the course of their study. But it's not the same in Nigeria because we're so used to theoretical, aspect. And where do we go from here? Because this is a big issue.
The university, like Anambra University, is enshrined in the program. So for the 4th year, I mentioned practical year. For instance, it's in the social. Whatever you do, you teach in the classroom, there is practical aspect to it. Okay. Because if you do not practice, the knowledge will not be rooted there. But the 4th year, because it's a 5-year program, the 4th year allows these students to move around, to see things the way they are, and in the farms, real farms. For instance, the food science and technology, which is a department in that, the students there go for such like crunches, these big eateries, go there to learn the rudiments of real practical aspect of their theory. And then why the students, those that are in crops, they go to places where there are big farmers and learn for instance, these tomatoes, these target crops, high premium crops like the salad stuff, lettuce, cucumber, carrot, all that. The students go to where they are and learn them practically. Because that's unique now. Even cucumber, there is a period they produce this cucumber that is filled all over the place presently. So all I'm saying is that at the university, the curriculum we are running in this university ensures this. Students going to the farmers, going to where it is happening, and knowing and having the practical, because they move from places to place. For instance, the fishery students will go to Alo, that is, I call it African Regional Aquaculture. That is in Alo.
Okay.
And they move from there to go to very many places.
Let me put you there. We'll be going for a short break. When we return, we'll get to find out why it is not really happening in some other schools. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Ndi Anambra ekene munu.
Hi people, this is your favorite Igbolicious babe, Rachel Okonkwo, aka Calling One Cigar.
My name's John Ikechukwoka.
I am Honorable Dr. P.T. Bida, member representing Njikoka 2 in Anambra State House of Assembly.
Afambo Nze Uche Nwora, Managing Director, CEO, Anambra Broadcasting Service.
My name is Colette Madike, beauty queen filmmaker, and you're watching.
You are watching
Inekili
ABS TV.
Never you ever touch that dial.
Keep watching ABS. Alabama, we are like that.
It is ABS TV. All the time. ABS!
ABS, the heartbeat of the East.
Well, glad to have you back. If you're just joining us, the program is Good Morning Anambra, and we've been talking about reintroduction of Agric farms in school. And we have Professor Lucy Nwuba, a former Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, and of course, Mr. Emmanuel Ifesinachi, Chairman of the Nigerian Union of Journalists in Anambra State. Before we went on that break, Professor, I was asking a question. Now we know the issue in our university as regarding reintroduction of agric farms in school. You said something about agriculture being a 5-year course. Your first year, second year, fourth year is when you probably go to the farms to find out. And research has shown that practicals is much more better than the theoretical aspect. Why wouldn't we push for doing practicals in 4 years and the theoretical aspect in 1 year?
Thank you once again. The practical, like I was saying, it's not just that 4th year that they go into practical. Like the students have their farms, and those of Department of Crop Science, they all have their portions. When you go there, you see them in their farm attire, doing the planting. You know, if you go there now, they will soon start harvesting their corn. Not just corn. I told you about cucumber. I told you about carrot. There's the one that so many things. And then when you go to the forest and wildlife, they have too many nose plants that they are selling. And quite a lot of selling going on in Anambra University of these hybrid high target plants that can easily start growing in a very short, fruiting in a very short period. And why I'm mentioning these ones is because all the departments, as they are doing, I said they do practical, but for the 4th year they move out. But while they are doing the theory in the class within the 4 years, they have their, for instance, in the fisheries. Fisheries, they have hatcheries there. They have hatcheries. They do breeding. They do inducement. They do, and then integrate. They're even integrating fish with livestock. The livestock department, they are supposed to, but the major problem in that place now is there's supposed to be a lab. There's supposed to be a standard laboratory that will allow so many practicals to go on.
Okay.
But because of the lack of this, those that can use the field are steadily using the field. For instance, the Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture, they are using concrete ponds, and they have constructed 2 earthen ponds, and they are using them. And like I said, they're integrating them with livestock, that is poultry. They're having poultry farm integrating because they circulate the droppings.
Well, Prof, you know, you've been talking about, as a professor in a university, we've been talking about agriculture as it concerns universities. Now, but you know that the basic, it's primary schools and secondary schools. Now, you're pushing for agriculture and you want agric farms to be reintroduced in schools. Yet, in some schools, agriculture is an optional subject.
I am suggesting here that by the time these products are coming out from the university. Instead, the secondary school they will go to teach. And the problem is that you cannot give what you don't have.
Yeah, true.
It's when these students are equipped and they come out in the job market, then that's the time they'll be employed and they begin to give that which they know in the primary schools. And we have already started graduating. Most of them are now in China, and the Chinese find them very useful. And they're on scholarship, particularly most of them from fisheries and aquaculture department. And those of them in cross-side have many options of furthering their courses in China and other places. But for us in Nigeria, it is a question of the school curriculum to be embedded, to have inclusion, to have agriculture included in the school curriculum. If it is not included, they will be trying to cover their scheme, their syllabus, for the purpose of exam. That is what we fight for. Right, not for actually practical it's for to pass exam. Okay. And when you pass exam, the whole thing goes there.
Now, let me come to you, Mr. Emmanuel, with what Professor has said about inculcating agriculture into the school curriculum, because that has not really, been happening over the years in primary and secondary school. To what extent has this affected Nigeria's economy in terms of agriculture and pursuing agriculture as a livelihood?
Yeah, it has adversely affected the economy because, like I said earlier, the food security, the stability of any economy hinges on the agriculture. Some of these advanced countries, you cannot, they don't ignore that sector of the economy. It requires that sufficient attention should be paid. Government should come up with policies that promote agriculture in schools, especially the teaching institutions, where every student of this teaching institution knows basic elements or basic principles of agriculture, so that the pupils or the students they handle will such knowledge should be transferred to them. I am particularly glad that my little daughter, that is in primary school 6, each time she comes back from school, she will pick one thing about agriculture and be asking me questions. This is seed. When should we plant this seed and it will germinate? And how do we know that when it germinates is healthy, it will be growing? You see this girl, anytime we want to go to the village, she has already packed some seeds that she's going to plant here and there. It requires such interest to inculcate in these children, such interest, such commitment, that, that fundamental or basic aspect of life hinges on agriculture. We should allow our kids. It's good that we are trying to introduce farms in schools. Right. That is the beginning of our survival.
Okay. Let me pause you there, Prof. We have a whole lot to talk about, but let's go to the street and go hear from people who what they have to say about reintroduction of Agric farms in our schools. We'll be right back.
If we can go back to that, I think it will go a long way in helping the youth of Anambra State especially to rediscover themselves. Back then when we were in school, we had farms and we were doing practicals. We used to go to farm, you plant your corn, you plant this and that. At the end, during the harvest, they will be used to judge whether you did well or you failed. So if such a thing can be reintroduced now, it will still boost our desire to go back to farming. We should not be depending on the northern Nigeria for everything.
I think it's good to introduce the practical aspect of it and then make it mandatory. Let me use that word, mandatory secondary school. So, because most people just they are introducing, they are doing it, but it's just to take them to the farm, bring them out. But find out that if it is a kind of culture in the school system, when our children leave school, they can use it for a means of livelihood and entrepreneurship while they are looking for white collar job.
It is even be better to start from primary schools. Because in Akita, some of the schools, you see a graduate after school and everything, you don't have anything to do. But all the I can tell you both in a farm side, in terms of how to do a farming, training fowls, fish pond, name them, there are many. And if you go other places like North, you see a boy of 2 years following the mother or the father to the farm. But here, everybody's trying to go to school after school. You sit at home doing nothing. But whereby the government can help to introduce it start from the primary school to the secondary school level, it will help some of our youth after our education. If you can't get a job or this thing, you can just go straight to the farming, and nobody will laugh. And the rate of crime will come down.
We need to introduce agriculture in schools. Not the extra talk or emphasis. The Bible says a child knows you should go, when he gets old, you will not depart from him. If it is introduced in the secondary school, or even the primary school, in those days there are school farms. It will help to make them see agriculture as something that is honorable. In fact, there's a lot of money in agriculture.
It will help in terms of improvement in agriculture. Okay, at tender age, it will make the infancies to be experts in agriculture. Okay, and it will make them to know that they should not depend only on government employment. They should be self-employed as settlement. In fact, it's first class in the world today. Without agriculture, we cannot go without agriculture.
You're welcome back. This is still Good Morning, Anambra, reaching you from the studios of Anambra Broadcasting Service. Our spotlight is still on the reintroduction of agric farms in schools. Like they say, different strokes for different folks. Well, Prof, judging from people's reaction, because I think I heard a man saying that getting involved in agriculture is actually honorable, and somebody was advocating that if we want to make people get interested in agriculture, we need to start from the primary schools. And Governor Willie Obiano has already started something like this with the initiative called Catch Them Young. A process where you go to schools, you build, you establish farms, and get the students and the teachers involved in this process. Now, there are usually a lot of misconceptions, particularly among young people, about Agric. When you see a graduate walking on the street looking for a job, white-collar job, the person doesn't have a job, and you advise the person, why don't you try getting involved in something that has to do with agriculture? The person looks at you like a whole graduate like me. You want me to go and start doing Agric? Now, how can we change this perception, this mindset? Because we are here calling for reintroduction of agri farms. What about the psyche of the people that we want to get involved in this agriculture?
Thank you very much. Agriculture, when it is properly practiced, and we get our children to catch it while they're young, it's going to do quite a lot for us. And the actual evil man is looking for where there is the cash. And so that's why I'm talking about high premium crops. Like those ones that can be about 3 months on the soil. And they sell them, recover. For instance, somebody was telling me about a friend of his who rented an acre of land, and he used it to plant ugu. And within, he got it on lease. He got the land on lease. And within 6 months, he was able to cover the money was able to do so quite a lot with it. And the owner of the land came back and took the land from him and said, it's okay, let me do my own. So if this kind of thing is done where our youth are growing up and they're like it's being practiced, so the planting of ogo and all that in Ministry of Agriculture here. If our children who we want to catch young from primary school, they plant and see the carrot they planted developing. But I want to say that carrot is not anything you can plant all the year and a half. It requires in-depth knowledge. For us to succeed in what we want to do, we need to have specialists in these areas and get them posted in those schools to be tutoring. Because if you come to universities or where there are laboratories, there are what we call lab technologies. So for the practical aspect of these high premium crops we're talking about, there is need to have there is a professor in Nsukka who is specialized in one kind of tomato that can be cropped all the year round.
Yeah, Prof, you keep talking about high premium crops. What are they?
Sorry.
Yeah, for other people.
I said like salad stuff, and I said carrot.
Okay, so why are they high premium crops?
Because they are crops. I mean, they stay for a short period, like Ogo down.
Okay.
Ogo, if you plant Ogo, within how long you start harvesting it? Like this man who leases the land, and within the owner of the land had to come and take back because he has seen that there's remitting money and then printing money, and they decided to have a test of it. If we see our children, because it is tuber and the cocoyam which is the mainstay of agriculture, it doesn't encourage the use. Those things that will encourage the use are those things that they will go into, and the thing starts producing. It starts getting cash into their hands, and that is, and then it will be on high demand. Okay. When it is on high demand, there will be it will create job. Foreign exchange will come into there. There will be preservation of biodiversity, because if it is something cropped, there must be a system of maintaining the soil.
All right, let me pause you there, Prof. Let me come to you, Mr. Emmanuel. Why is it now the government is probably looking forward to reintroducing agric farms into school? Now, you agree with me. Let's also look at the problems that could be militating why the introduction of agric farms into school. We also know that policymakers are also blaming the youths from shying away from agriculture. Don't you think this is a case where you're placing the cart before the horse? Knowing fully well that the youths generally comprises of 65% of the world, what do we have to start doing to make them understand that if they key into agriculture, then we are headed for glory?
You know, the problem started in the 70s during the period of oil boom. You know, people started dropping attention to agriculture as they moving into oil business, and even both the notion and the impression people have then started moving from agriculture. Just like somebody said, we should see farmers and agric business as honorable. You know, I could remember in the early 90s when Anambra State, the governor went to United States of America with some honorable members. You know, in the course of their interaction, they started introducing themselves. Some said they are lawyers. One person, just one single person, introduced himself as a farmer. In fact, the entire attention moved to that particular honorable member. It got to show you the type of interest, the type of commitment, the type of attention given to agriculture. So we should imbibe that type of attention here in Nigeria. I think the government has started seeing the problem associated with, ignoring agriculture. The basic survival of any society depended on it. And for us to ignore it is like, trying to, box ourselves to a corner, And I believe that for us to get it right, we thank the governor of Anambra State, who is, trying to now redirect our attention to agriculture. Let this policy go down to primary schools when you get them young, secondary schools. Let it be an integral part of our educational program, so that at a period become part of our culture. It ought to be part of our culture, so that our survival will be at our hands.
Thank you. Professor, as we round up, as the world, of course, the world grapples to feed over 10 billion people in the year 2050, what do we have to start doing now to make sure that when we get to that time, it won't be a problem? Food won't be a problem, and people will have it in abundance.
The Anambra State is already on track because of the kind of governor we have, who is concerned with actually making effect to the people, to his subject. And Anambra primary schools, they are already, because my child left this money, the girl I'm living with, she left this money with a carton of manure. She will use it in her farm. So they are actually starting it. What we are trying to say here is to have them encouraged more and more, so that even having specialists in the field, that will make the thing a joy. There's something about teaching and learning. If teaching and learning is made made joyful, the students will catch up with it and will play way, and they will. And if they are doing that agricultural practices and are seeing the results, none of them will go to look for job. They will all come up trying to develop their own farms. That is what they are doing already in university. These students are already breeding their chicken. They're already breeding their fish. They're already nursing their nursery, the crops in the nursery. It's something that one can come and see. And then that's the question. It's ongoing right now. So if that kind of thing can go down to the primary schools, that will require somebody who has the knowledge to come to that level, even if it means collaborating with those primary schools, so that when they need the practicals, those that know how will go and have them. These students, there is need for collaboration. Our academics are not collaborative enough. There should be collaboration. Farmers, with primary school teachers and university teachers and tertiary institutions, there should be collaboration.
All right, thank you, Prof. Maybe next time when you come on the program, you're going to bring us exhibits of evidence of what you're starting to do. Okay, we want to thank Professor Lucy Nwuba, former Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka. Thank you, Prof, for coming on the program today. And of course, we want to thank our very own Mr. Emmanuel Ifesinachi, Chairman, Nigerian Union of Journalists, Anambra State Council. Thank you for coming on the program.
I must say that the media has a role to play in this aspect.
Indeed, we do.
Especially in the area of audiovisual, social media, television station. I therefore commend ABS for, giving an airtime to this type of program.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And this is where we sign out on today's edition of Good Morning, Anambra. Well, Nigerians and the Anambra, you've heard it. Agriculture has come to stay. Please let us encourage agriculture. My name is Priska Wanko.
It's amazing being here today, reintroducing Agric into our schools. Well, let's hope that we actually take that serious and let's get to work. Ebere Ugonna is my name. Many thanks for joining us. Good morning.